In this video, we're going to make this beach themed wall decor. So keep watching and I'll show you how. Okay, so here is the design that I'm going to be cutting out on the CNC. My limitations on the machine are 30 inches. So top to bottom, that's 30-inch cut. So I've maxed out my machine. The piece I wanted to hang on the wall, I really wanted it to be 4 foot long. It's going above a couch. I think that the longer the better in that situation. I think it'll just fit the room a little bit better. So I really don't want to cut it down. I feel like there is too much margin outside from here to here. I believe it is like 8 or 9 inches. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably see how this looks cut out and make a decision. I'm going to be painting on the exterior of this as well, as you're going to see as this progresses. So I could extend that painting out and it may still look okay. It may not, and I may have to cut this thing down closer to 40 inches or so in length. So we're going to see how this goes, and I have a board glued up. I just use 1x4s. As you'll see when it gets in the machine, I used 1x4s, and my fear was as this stuff started getting cut away, I'd have pieces break loose. I was going to just kind of clamp them into place on the machine. I decided that was a really bad idea and a great way to break a bit. So I opted to take the 1x4s, glue them up into a panel. I intentionally did not get them extremely flat. I mean, there may be, it's not how you use a glue up for like a top surface of a table or another piece of furniture. There's some higher points and some lower points. I wanted to give it that kind of rustic, put together look, but I also, like I said, wanted to keep things intact. So everything is glued. It's not all completely surface level. So we'll see how this goes, but we're going to cut it out right now. Okay, I have the board centered in the machine. My offsets, the maximum I can cut is a little bit past this line, this direction. I got another line marked back here, and I just centered the entire thing on that to make sure that I didn't extend past my maximum cut. I screwed the board down in the corners. This is far out of the way of the actual cut that's being made. My thought was, I don't usually like to use screws if I don't have to. I usually just use clamps. However, there's a little bit of a twist in this panel. So I was a little bit worried. I wanted to draw that corner down and this back corner back here. One was lifted up, and if I clamp it down, and it would lift the other side up. And so I needed a way to secure those so they were both drawn down. So I decided I'm just going to sink a screw in each corner, and then I'll just rip that off at the end after this is all cut. I almost went with that corner and that corner being the two that I screwed down. However, I was a little bit worried that as this cut, pressure would get released and something were to happen and this board would shift. And when stuff like that happens, it's a quick way to break a bit. Those bits are, I don't know, I think $35 each. I don't want to break one. I don't think I have a backup. So if I do break one, I'm going to be in a bind. So hopefully we don't break a bit. I can't guarantee it, but I think I got everything set up to where it shouldn't happen. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut this out, and I'll give you a little bit of a preview of it getting cut, but it's going to take, it says, close to 2 hours. So we'll fast forward through a little bit of it and get to the end so I don't bore you with 2 hours of this machine just running in circles. So once we get this cut, I should be able to progress and see how this thing turns out. Should be pretty exciting. I can't wait to do it. So here we go. So the cutout is done. I did break a bit. I was afraid that might end up happening just with the way things weren't quite level. A few areas, once they got cut out, moved a little bit too much. There's some vibration possibly. And so it doesn't exactly look the way I had designed it. There's some lines that don't belong in there that I really can't do a whole lot about. I actually lost the water line right here, so I'm gonna have to figure something out there. I believe my trees are broke loose, so I'm gonna have to glue those back on. I lost my dolphin, I lost the birds. So had a few issues with it, but I think it's still gonna work fine. One thing I did to help remedy the breakage of the bits, I broke my only 1/8 inch bit, so I still had a 1/4 inch bit around, and I know those are less likely to break. So what I did was I went the entire way around this perimeter with my 1/4 inch bit. And then I actually did what's called a pocket cut down here in the water with that 1/4 inch bit. And what that does is it just removes all the material. So my worry down here was I got stuff that might start bouncing around once it cut through. And I didn't want those pieces down here doing that because I was afraid that it would break another bit or it would start snapping this water off. So I just decided, let me just pocket it out. And then I thought, well, if I do that, when I get my 1/4 inch bit, I can go through everything and there'll be a little less chance of anything bouncing around and hitting that bit and breaking it. And that's what I did, and it worked great. So I'm getting ready to take this off and we'll see what it looks like. And then I got to paint the whole thing white, which I'll probably skip that because you guys don't want to watch me paint a board white. And then I'm actually going to paint some color into this. The reason for that is I'm going to backlight it with some LED lights, but when the lights aren't on, I thought it might look kind of odd. I thought I would just because it's going on a wall, like a white shiplap wall. And I thought I needed something to bring a little bit of color onto that wall. And so I'm going to just kind of do like a wash where the water area is going to be blue, the sand area is going to be like a tan color, a light tan color. I'll probably bring some sunset sky colors in over here. Not sure what I'm going to do with the tree. And give it sort of a washed look. So you're going to maybe you'll see some of the wood or the white through it, but just kind of do a wash of color over top of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I really hope it turns out okay. Here we go. There's the trees I lost. It's actually a little worse than I thought. I got part of the trunks broke too. So okay, well, I'm going to take this over to the workbench, start making repairs. if you have a CNC, a lot of times you build tabs into things that you cut out so that they maintain in place while you cut them. Something I like to do to cut the tabs free is just use this reciprocating tool, I guess you call it. What do they call this? Cordless oscillating multi-tool. So I like to use that. It cuts the tabs free. Works pretty well, easy to maneuver around. So I'm getting ready, I need to paint this. However, I've come across a few issues. One being the stability of this. I really fear that it's gonna eventually break. So I've already lost this dolphin and I lost the horizon line over here. So my intentions when I made this were to make this horizon line about 1/8 of an inch thick. And what happened was, as this cut out, something had shifted, and I thought I had it secured well because I screwed it down to the table in 4 points, but something in the middle I think had shifted, or I'm not sure. But what ended up happening was it cut too far this direction, and therefore made this piece way too thin. So now I'm in the spot where I don't know what to do. I've already lost the horizon here. So that kind of looks weird. I'm thinking about doing away with the horizon line altogether and using the waves as the horizon line. So I may cut this off and shift this wavy look right here over a little bit and actually physically glue it to the wave below it. I'm feeling like that might be my only option at this point. And then I would take the dolphin, which is supposed to be attached here, and I would attach it. I would just sand the bottom of it flat, and I would just attach it in this thicker spot right here. So that's kind of where I am right now. This will be sturdy enough if I remove this. I'm not overly concerned. I mean, there's some flex in a lot of these, but I could almost join those two together. In fact, it might do me some good to do that. This one's kind of loose. I could bring it down to here. So there's a few things I could do to fix these issues that have kind of arisen. I'm actually in the process of gluing this back together because it had snapped, and it'll attach on like that. So I'm almost to the point of being able to paint this, but I want to fix these small issues before I do. And again, when I paint this, I'm afraid this will break. I mean, running that brush across it, if I'm not careful, I mean, I got to brush everything. I want to coat a white paint over the entire thing. Oh, and I have a bad feeling going in. So I think what I'm going to do is I have this little coping saw, and I'm just going to cut all the thin areas loose. So here, 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 and here, and then cut this free as well. I know that when you look at a horizon, no matter what, especially over water, it looks like a straight line. So I am going to lose that look, but I don't think it'll matter that much because this should emit a nice blue light going up, a nice orange light coming down. And I don't think that that people will really notice the fact that the horizon isn't realistic. This is the artistic look of a horizon instead. So that's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to start cutting these loose and see where it gets me. I hope I don't mess this up. I don't want to make another one. I don't really have time to make another one, so I can just file that. Shift this whole thing over. I'm gonna file those off. Just clean up the edge a little bit. So I'm kind of thinking something, oops, that's upside down. Something like that. I think it'll just make it more sturdy. I probably should have just done it like that from the start and just kept these little pockets. Kind of wish I would have now. But it's too late. So we're gonna work with what we got. Now I'm not worried about glue spots. This is all gonna get painted, so I don't have to worry about staining it and having, you know, glue where it's messing up my finish. Put this dolphin on here, and I was having some trouble getting good contact area. I used some wood glue, and it really just there's no way to hold it in place. You can't clamp it because the surface area that needs to come in contact is very small, and because of the dolphin shape, if I would clamp it, it would have just pulled it off of the other surface. And I'm actually going to put it right here. So what I'm going to use instead, and I could have used super glue, but I didn't have any on me. But what I did have was this UV resin that I got on Amazon, and I've used it in the past. It works really good. It mixes up just like any other epoxy would, but it needs UV light to harden it. So it has a really long working time, but then once you hit it with UV light, it forms up very quickly, 10-15 seconds, and it is pretty solid. So I'm going to use that, and hopefully this works. So we're going to see right now. I do need it to ooze out, because if it doesn't, the UV light really can't get to the area that I'm trying to attach. So it is going to ooze a little bit. Almost form like a weld is my thought, and it is running like crazy. Alright, so I'm going to put this on. And I'm going to hit it with this UV light. This is just a UV flashlight, and I also got on Amazon. If I can at least get it to stay in place, I can, there, it's in place. Now I'm just gonna kind of use this epoxy as a weld and just let it run down this crack and harden it. And it actually has hardened by the time we got to the bottom. So it didn't even drip on the table. Yeah, I like to hold it there for 30 seconds or so. Technically, I could have probably used this for other spots that I was trying to solidify, like here, but I didn't think of it until I realized that I kind of had a problem where I didn't know how I was going to get that to stay. But you can see it's pretty solid right now. I'm going to do the same thing on the outside. I'm going to run a drip down it, and then I'm going to hit it with the light right away. So we'll just go like that. Hit it with a light. And that one actually made it to the bottom, but that's okay. Get it off the table there. I don't want it to get stuck to the table. Put a little bit more on. Oop. So I'll put a link to this product because it comes in really handy at times. I mean, this is already hard, so the drip that went on the table hardened. Works quite well. Alright, so it's ready for paint. I'm going to get a coat of primer on here so that we're ready to move on with the actual wash I'm going to do over top of it. I'm going to build out the frame. On the back side of this whole thing, I'm going to have a frame that's going to go around here. Part of it's going to be the way I hang it on the wall. I'm going to use a cleat that I can hang on the wall with. And then the other part of the reason for the frame is to stop light from emitting out from the sides. I want to try to keep all the light contained behind it with this LED strip. So I'll actually mount the LED strip on the board that's against the wall. So if you've never used a cleat before, this is how it works. This part here gets mounted to the board or to the whatever you're hanging. This part here gets mounted to the wall. So what happens is, what you do, you cut a 45-degree angle, they match, and that angle, the slots just fit together. So there's the end view of it, and that angle just provides a way to hang it. What I want to do is center that, and then I'll build this around it. In addition to centering it, I also need to make sure that it is mounted straight on here so that when I hang this other part that goes on the wall, I can just level that and the whole thing should be level. So the way I'm going to ensure it's straight is I'm going to make it even, flush even with the top of the entire thing. So I got most of this painted pretty well the way I want it with white, and I did have to touch up a few spots here just a minute ago, but for now I'm going to paint in the beach. So I'm going to come up with a color that kind of looks like sand, and we'll just brush it in to this lower area here. And I'm doing kind of a wash so it's going to be watered down, and just kind of go for that. I want some of the white to kind of show through. I don't want it to be real defined, just kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of winging this as I go, this part of it, but I think it should turn out all right. I did like a test run on a piece of scrap wood. So I'm using a yellow ochre color, and then I'm just gonna lighten it with some titanium white. And these are just acrylic paints, is all it is. So I got a cup of water right here. So I'm gonna do this here, and then I'm eventually gonna do some color here where the water is, and then I'm gonna do some color where the sky is, and just kind of blend it out towards the edge. That way I'm gonna backlight this, but when the lights are not on, it will still look good. Give it some color on the wall, because the wall is all white. I think I mentioned that. It's just a white shiplap that's gonna hang on. I am not a painter. I do enjoy it, but I'm not a painter, so forgive me if I make some kind of huge painting mistake. When I was doing my kind of test runs, I had a couple different colors that I used. I'm going to kind of mix those along with some white, come up with some kind of a watercolor here. So this is ultramarine blue. This one is cobalt blue. And then I'm also going to use some of this white. A little bit beside that, a little bit beside that. We'll see where that gets us. I may blend the two. I'll come up with 3 different colors. I don't know. And for the sky, I've got a lemon yellow and an orange yellow. I'm going to mix those. And then I'll probably come in after this is done and darken the dolphin and the trees. Because if it's a sunset behind it, kind of have a shadow, dark side of the item or object look. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a painter. I'm just going to do this the best I can and see how it turns out. Alright, now I'm gonna paint in the trees and the dolphin in a Mars black because I'm figuring it's gonna be a shadow. So I want that darkened. If the sun's behind it, it's gonna be, it would look pretty much dark. Alright, I flipped it over and now I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do these lights. The first thing I'm going to need to do is kind of determine where in the light segment I can change the color. So the way it is there could be a segment, I don't know, it's a foot or two long, of one color, then it can be the next color, and so on. So I want to keep this bottom half blue, top half orangish colors, maybe orange and yellow mixed. I might blend them, I'm not sure, but I need to make sure that I stop the blue here and here. So I'm going to turn the light off and plug this in and start segmenting each part of that LED strip out so I know where to start and stop. So I currently have it set up as segments are different colors here. I'm gonna actually change each segment to be a different color so I can see exactly where the segment starts and stops. So now I should be able to, nah, those oranges are hard to tell the difference. I'm gonna go red. So now I should be able to tell where they start and stop. Okay, I feel like I have a good plan here now. I am not saying this is the colors I'm going to use. I just mostly did that so I could see the different segments. I'll probably use more blues and less greens on this bottom part. There's a color wheel you can use in the app. I'll probably use that. I'm gonna have to put some kind of groove in here. But I'm gonna flip this over, hopefully, so we can see. Hopefully it stays. Uh-oh. If I were to change all these, let's change the green ones to like a, there, I like that. Kind of want, I don't like the orange that's going on up there. Still has a little bit of an orange to it, or a yellow to it, I mean. Might have trouble getting away from that. That's white. That's all red. You come off that red onion, it gets real yellow. That's not too bad. I think I can make that work. At least I have a plan now for. So let's, we're gonna get started attaching these. So I want to take another look at this with the lights off now that's all stuck down. So I have this on the wall here. I use this to take pictures. I flipped houses for a while, and this was some leftover like fake shiplap stuff that I used in one instance. I had some few pieces left over, decided to mount it to the wall, and I used it to take pictures. It's really one of the better places I have to do this, so I'm actually going to mount it into here. I'll probably just use these screws that are already here and mount this. So the way we're going to do this, first off, I'm going to take these screws out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple screws started in this so it's easier to screw in level. One thing is with this, you can see there's an angle right here. That has to, so this flat side here has to be against the wall. The highest point on the angle has to be away from the wall so that it can catch what's on the actual wall hanging and hold it there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few screws in here to get them started, and then I'm going to get it up here and use a level to hang it. Alright, so I have a couple screws in here. All I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to hold this level up here. I'm trying to hit these screws right into this, this groove so I don't mess up the surface too much. I'm going to put one in. And then I'm going to just level it. And put the other in. That's not very sturdy because I don't think the screws are quite long enough. So I'm going to actually go deeper. This stuff's like a particle board, so the screw that I put in, I don't know if it even made it through that, and I'm just not overly confident in it holding. So I got a couple like 2-inch screws here that I'm gonna sink. That's a lot better. All right, so now all you have to do is hang it. And it should hopefully hang nicely. All right, so I can already see it's kicked out from the wall. And that is due to that back being on there and it's thicker. So I am gonna have to bring that out or it's just gonna hang from the wall. As you can see from the last time that you would have seen this, I painted in some waves. So let me tilt that down just a little bit there. All right, so I painted in some waves. I thought it would add a little bit of detail to it. I just used like a little fan-like brush and just kind of blotched them on and made them just a little bit smaller and then bigger as they got out to the front. I don't know. Again, I'm not a painter. I just kind of figured this stuff out as I go. But that's kind of what I came up with. So I will end up gluing that other cloud on up here. But for now, I'd like to see how this looks. All right, we're gonna light this up, see how it looks. So that's pretty much what I was picturing. Just so, just for your information, these are the Govee RBGIC lights. I can link them in the description. They're really cool. The amount of combinations you can do is quite amazing, to be honest. So thanks for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed all the different steps it took between the painting and the CNC work and just the general assembly of the wall hanging back here. It was a lot of fun to make. I learned some things. I probably need to learn a little bit more about painting, but I did my best. So if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'd love to hear from you. If you have some painting tips for me down in the comment section, throw some comments in there. Maybe next time I can make a few improvements. And also, if you have something that you would like to have me make and want it featured on a YouTube video, that you could always say, hey, look, my table was actually made and the entire thing, start to finish, is on YouTube permanently. Or my wall decor, or whatever it is you need made, I'd love to talk to you and see if we can get something figured out. Aside from that, thanks for watching. Check out some of these videos that are going to come up on the next screen, and we'll see you next time.